Well, good morning, everybody. I am happy to see you all here as we kick off AlleyPalooza number 7. Yes. And it seems like we arrived just in the nick of time for this alley. I was telling the council member that we, of course, are scouring the city, talking to our ANC commissioners, looking at our 311 calls for service, consulting with our council member's office. And this alley, of course, needs our attention. We are joined by members of our DDOT team and Director Jeff Meridian. Please give them a big round of applause. Because over the last 3.5 years, they have really focused on this program and made it a program that we can be proud of. I've said 1,000 times, and it bears repeating. 11 years ago, when I started in elected office, I asked the then DDOT director, how long would it take to do the alleys that needed to be done at the rate we were going? And he told me very seriously that it would take 40 years. And so what that meant was that for too long, we hadn't done enough with our alleys. We hadn't been consistent enough in our funding, and we weren't executing at a level that we needed to execute at to get the job done. So I knew then, if I ever had the chance to be mayor, that we would change that, that we would put in the funding that we need, we would make sure our DDOT had the resources that they needed to do the job, and that they thought about new and innovative ways to do it. So let's talk about what we have before us. So let me thank all of the community leaders, the Ward 6 smokers who work day in and day out with Ward 6 communities on identifying issues that we need. Now, AlleyPalooza has taught us a thing or two, and in fact, we are using our experience with AlleyPalooza to inform a new program that we have for local residential streets in the District of Columbia. I'm not exactly proud of their condition. In fact, we do a pretty good job on our main thoroughfares, but it's our residential streets that we're starting to show the same wear and tear as our alleys. So we have launched PaveDC, and it is a comprehensive, consistent program to eliminate roads in poor condition by 2024. We're pledging to repave or repair all alleys in poor condition by 2021. We know that our alleys are an important part of our infrastructure. Residents use them to access driveways and backyards. Our DPW crews are in an alley every single day collecting trash and recycling. Families use them for social gatherings and extensions of their yards. I've been to a block party or two in an alley as well. And we have repaired or reconstructed more than 400 alleys in all 8 wards in the last 3.5 years. Yet we know there is a lot more work to do. So the specific definition of AlleyPalooza is that we identify 8 alleys in each ward, so 64 alleys that we are able to complete in 8 weeks. Some of the alleys, like this one, may take longer than 8 weeks because we notice a lot of drainage problems and the repairs have to be more extensive. And so we're now kind of at those alleys where they're all are the alleys that need a little bit more repair, so they take up to 12 weeks. So you can follow our progress on AlleyPalooza at DDOT's website and by all of our social media channels. And we will keep delivering alleys in residential streets that will help us maintain our transportation network for a growing Washington, D.C. So I want to ask Director Meridian to tell you a little bit more about what his team will do and the council member to tell us more about what's happening in Ward 6. Jeff.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Mayor Bowser, for being with us here as we launch AlleyPalooza 7. And thank you, Mayor, for your vision in creating this program. This AlleyPalooza initiative has been a true success for us. And one of the reasons that is because of the support and the partnership with the local community and the neighbors. So I do want to also extend a special thanks to the neighbors here who have worked with us to identify the alleys in the worst condition, so that we know where we need to put our resources in reconstructing these alleys. It's also particularly gratifying to us at DDOT as we see that number of alleys in poor condition go down and the number of alleys in good and excellent condition go up. And this alley, as the mayor said, is a perfect example. You can see that there are at least 3 different types of materials in this alley. And in just a couple weeks' time, there will be one, and it will look brand new. And so we're really excited to come back and see what this alley looks like when it's in mint condition. The mayor talked about our goals, and let me tell you, she has raised the bar for us as we work to get that number of alleys in poor condition down to 0 by 2021. That will require us to continue to work collaboratively with the Mokers, with members of the community, with Councilmember Allen's office, as we identify alleys all across the ward and all across the district that warrant this type of reconstruction. Our website, for the first time, ddot.dc.gov/PaveDC, has a comprehensive list of all the alleys that we're working in. It also, as the mayor mentioned, has a comprehensive list of all the local roads that we're working in. So members of the public can see the work that we're doing. They can track our progress, and they can work with us as we move on to the next segments of road and alley. So I again want to thank all of you for being here. We are excited to kick off this AlleyPalooza. I want to say that we can't do this work without the support of members of the council, and I want to specifically thank and acknowledge Councilmember Allen for his help and support of DDOT, and it's now my pleasure to turn it over to him to say some remarks.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Madam Mayor. I really appreciate that you're kicking this off right here in Ward 6, so thank you very much. We are a city of alleys, and for folks in Ward 6, you know, we are communities who love our alleys. But these projects really help transform these spaces. We were at one just a couple of weeks ago, right off 15th and East Capitol. And what I loved is the neighbors, we had completely rebuilt this, and the neighbors reached back out to our DDOT representatives and invited them, and they showed up for a cookout and a celebration of just what a new alley can really look like. And it really does transform the space. Everything from, we were talking about, you know, we're going to put up a basketball hoop, have a cookout, have anything out in this neighborhood. It's going to be a different space, and we're really grateful for that. You know, the council and the mayor, we sometimes can push and pull on each other a little bit, but I'll tell you, when it comes to funding the alley work, the mayor has put money in the budget to make sure that this becomes a priority, and the council backs her up on this, because this really speaks to our quality of life, speaks to your neighborhood, and they make such great improvements. It's a really smart, great thing that the mayor's doing to help push this and push it forward all across the city, as you see. And I'll add one quick thing. To all the neighbors who are looking and don't see their alley on this list, that does not mean that DDOT does not care about it, does not mean that DDOT's not thinking about it and working on it. The number of times I've sent notes to Director Meridian, and he gets back to me with different ideas and plans. If you don't see your alley on this list, don't worry. I promise it is still on the radar, and I know that DDOT still has plans to continue pushing hard on all these spaces. And just lastly, I know I saw both ANC Commissioner Christine Healy and Jerry Schroof here from 6B and 6C, so thank you both very much. You guys are tireless advocates, pushing hard for your neighbors. So we really appreciate that. So again, thank you, Madam Mayor, and to Director Muriel, and to everybody involved in this. Can't wait to come back. Let's make sure we plan it now. Let's have a ribbon cutting. Let's have a celebration out here to bring the neighbors together. And then let's also thank our team from DDOT who do all the hard work. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Good work. Good work. Okay, we have some time for questions. Yes, sir. Mr. Chess.
Mayor Bowser, you have a pretty big celebration tomorrow
I do.
in the city. The whole city does. Any thought that public schools or the city government might be closed tomorrow?
Well, anytime you're expecting 100,000 people to one of your roads in the district, you need your workers to be there to support it. So we'll be open. Thank you. Schools will be open too.
For the community at large?
Well, let's just all join in celebrating the Caps again. It's been a long time, too long since we had a championship in the District of Columbia. We're very excited to have the Stanley Cup here, and I know Washingtonians are really excited to come out and celebrate. To your point, the parade starts somewhat midday at 11. We expect the speeches to happen about noon near 7th and Constitution, I believe. So we believe people, even at their lunch hour, can come out and enjoy the celebration.
What advice would you give to Alex Ovechkin after these last couple of days?
Have drink. Well, you know what? you can see how long he's been waiting for this. And I think I could see, as many people could see, the real weight of the world on his shoulders. And he played like a maniac. So I just would tell him to keep enjoying it. Keep enjoying it. Yes.
Impressions of motherhood. Would you share that with us?
Sure. Well, it's just been a wonderful delight, and Miranda is just the sweetest little angel of a girl. She's with her grandmother right now while we're at AlleyPalooza.
You managing the work-home load okay?
I'm doing okay. I'll check in with me in about a week. Maybe I'll catch up, but I'm doing okay.
Back to the parade real quickly. Any idea on the cost estimate? Who's picking up the tab? Anything along those lines?
We'll be supporting the parade with Public Safety and Public Works. Yes. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I do actually, Mayor, on the campaign, which is, I guess, what, the election is?
The election is right now. Early voting started already, and our early voting sites are open in all 8 wards through Friday. And primary day in Washington, D.C. is 1 week from tomorrow. That's June the 19th. So sites, precincts in your neighborhood, 143 precincts will be open. But we encourage everybody to go out and vote early if they can.
Just curious from your point of view, you're running, I know you got some opponents, but I don't think a lot of people know who they are at this point. So essentially running unopposed, what do you want to accomplish in your second term that you did not accomplish in your first?
Well, we're at an official event, Sam. So why don't we stick to official business? But let me just say this: if I have the opportunity to be mayor again, and I hope I do, that we want to continue to deliver on the promises that we made to the residents of the District of Columbia, and they start with how we continue to have a growing and prosperous city. When I'm anywhere in the U.S. or abroad, people look at our city and they see the vibrancy and growth. The big part of what we've been focused on is making sure more people can participate in that prosperity. How do we attract more jobs? How do we make sure they're good paying jobs? How do we continue to invest $100 million and more in our housing production trust fund? How do we make sure that more DC residents can afford to live and stay here? So we're focused on jobs, creating more housing, making sure that young families can stay in the district. So we're doubling down on affordable child care and accessibility to child care throughout our city, making sure we have quality education options in every neighborhood. And the last thing I'll mention, and I'm not just saying this because DDOT is here, but it is important with the cities growing as fast as ours that we focus on sustainability and mobility as well to keep up with our growth. So how can we make the most of our transportation network? How do we make sure we're attracting more riders to public transportation and not the single occupant vehicle? All of those things will allow us to be a city that continues to be vibrant, but make sure that more DC residents are participating in that vibrancy.
How does it feel to be essentially unopposed?
As you know, Sam, this is my 6th election, and I've never been unopposed. In fact, I work very hard in every single election, and we have focused on this election in the exact same way as we have with every single one. I like to think that we have earned the ability to fight hard in this election like we have in others, and because of our hard work, because residents in all 8 wards in the district are getting behind us, we have the opportunity to go into this election and the general election in November really strong.
Having raised so much money, what do you do with it? Assuming you don't need to fight tooth and nail for the office.
Well, we do have to fight tooth and nail to make sure everybody remembers, and I'm sure the council member will agree with this sentiment. There is an election. Everybody needs to go out and vote. We can't have the idea that, the mayor doesn't have a serious opponent. Well, our opponent is people thinking that we don't have to fight for the future of our city. And so I want to remind everybody not only to go out and vote for me, but vote for the 7 members of the council who are up for re-election, our congresswoman, attorney general up for re-election. There's an important ballot initiative that's on the ballot that people should weigh in on. And when I go to to talk about everything that we need in this city, I want to be able to say that DC residents vote. In fact, we vote more than people in Wyoming and Vermont, and that's an important message to get across. And that's how we will expend our time and resources on this campaign. Any other questions? Thank you, everybody.